Hi, I'm Michael Kern, and this is episode 1 of the Desire Dream Vision podcast.
But what's your deepest, darkest desire?
I have a dream.
Find your vision and follow it.
Now, a great deal of time, sweat, and a few tears were expended on all this.
We listen to each other. We lean on each other because we are always stronger together.
The DDV podcast is brought to you in partnership with Inverso.
Hello, I'm Michael Kern. Welcome to the first episode of the Desire Dream Vision podcast. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking it out. It's a pleasure to have you listening in on this first podcast. Whether you're listening on a podcast site and you've downloaded it, or you're watching on YouTube, this is a video as well. So hello to every single one of you, wherever you have downloaded this. You are part of the first step, the first ever Desire Dream Vision episode, and I thank you so much for downloading and watching and having a little look. So I've named this episode the Prelude because this is a bit of a warm-up ahead of what's to come in forthcoming weeks. But I thought in this episode I would share with you a little bit about who I am, what my journey has been so far, and what Desire Dream Vision is all about. So let's kick off with me. Who am I? Well, as I said, my name is Michael Kern, and for me, I wanted to be a professional footballer growing up. From a very young age, I wanted to play for England, and I wanted to play for Southampton. When I got to the age of 19, I had a realisation while I was at college, Peter Simmons in Winchester, that I wasn't going to play for Southampton, and I wasn't going to play for England. And I had a real choice. Do I carry on striving towards this dream of playing in the Premier League, or do I give up? And I was doing a little bit of everything growing up. I did a bit of musical theatre, I did a bit of presenting, played pretty much most sports under the sun. And I kind of had this vision of, well, maybe if I can't play in the Premier League, maybe I could use one of these other transferable skills and maybe I could present the Premier League. And a journey began when I was 18 years old, went and did some work experience, did some cool early interviews early on. And by the time of 25, I was pitch side for my first ever Premier League game, microphone in hand. I had achieved a dream, a goal, an ambition that I had had. I might not have been playing, but I'd still made it in another shape or form. I've been so lucky over these years. I've done some amazing things. I've done an FA Cup final. I did the 1000th England International back in 2019. And I just feel incredibly blessed that I've had the opportunity to do it. But my dad's a builder. My mum works in a coffee shop. I'm not a Beckham. And I'm not a Kardashian. I've just had to work hard. And I'm such a firm believer that whatever you want in life, if you want it bad enough, you can achieve it. And this is what this podcast is all about. This is about finding what makes you tick, finding what drives you, and helping you to get there by putting the philosophy that I like to call Desire Dream Vision into place. And there's several parts in it. In this episode, I'm going to run through some of the key elements, but week by week as we go through with all the different episodes, there will be lots of explanations, some amazing guests as we talk through loads of the key factors that, fingers crossed, will help you achieve that dream and ambition that you have too. So for me, Desire Dream Vision began subconsciously when I was about 13 years old. I discovered a guy called Muhammad Ali, 3-time heavyweight world champion, amazing guy. Saw his poster in a shop and I saw this amazing quote from him that said, "Champions aren't made in gyms. Champions are made from something that we have deep inside us, a desire, a dream, and a vision." Now you've got to have the skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill. And I think that's such an amazing, important quote because yes, you have to desire something, you have to dream about it, and you have to visualize to make it happen. But if you haven't got the will to fight every time someone closes a door in your face, every time someone says no, you've got no chance. You've got to work on that skill. You've got to have a little bit there or something or some real drive and ambition to make this work. But you've got to have the will when your chips get down that you're going to find a way through. So let's kick into the Desire Dream Vision philosophy then. And the first part for me is my 3-2-1 philosophy. You have 1 goal, 2 motivators, and 3 inspirations. So let me start with inspiration because I have 3. And you can have as many as you want, but 3 is a nice number and they motivate me for 3 different reasons to keep me focused on my 1 goal. So my motivators, the 1976 FA Cup final, Southampton, my team, they made it all the way to Wembley. They took on Manchester United. No one expected them to win, but guess what? They went and won. They won the FA Cup for Southampton. Larry McMenemy and his team brought that beautiful trophy back to Southampton. Now that massively inspires me because it proves David versus Goliath. You can be the little guy and go and win still. So that's a massive inspiration. And I'm going to talk more about inspiration in an upcoming episode, and I'll go into more detail about why these things inspire me. But my second inspiration is my great-granddad. He won the George Medal in the Second World War, drove into a minefield and saved someone's life. So for me, If he can be prepared to make that sacrifice, to drive into a minefield and save someone's life, there is no reason why I can't get up and make the most of every single day. I have a choice to get up. I have a choice to make those decisions because of people like my great-grandfather who sacrificed so much to achieve our freedom in that Second World War and all wars that our past generations have fought in, really, for our freedom. And for me, he's a massive inspiration and a big hero for me. My third is Muhammad Ali, as you may well have guessed from what I've been saying about so far. But what Muhammad Ali stood for from a personal level, not just in the ring and outside the ring with equality, is massive for me. And if I can just achieve 1% of that impact on humanity, 0.01% of the impact he made even, I would be over the moon. So if I could achieve 1%, that'd be pretty incredible, right? So that's my 3 inspirations. The next thing are motivators. These are things that keep you striving towards your goal. Now, for some people, they're materialistic. Some people, they're all about their family, friends, things they want to achieve within life. A big thing about this, though, is that you respect your motivators and you respect other people's motivators, because they're all going to be different. There's been times in my life when my motivators have been materialistic. When I was 21, I saw a watch in a magazine and that's the watch I wanted. That motivated me day in, day out to go and achieve my goal and ambition. Now, when I got to 28, I finally achieved that goal and I got the watch. But I don't look at it and go, oh, look at this flash watch that I've got. I look at it in the sense of that's every second, minute, hour that I've sacrificed to maintain my goal and my ambition. And it's a reminder that I've still got plenty more hours, minutes and seconds to go to maintain it even more. But again, it changes, it fluctuates, and yours are totally different. Yours could be something from owning your first house. That could really motivate you every day to make that happen. It could be securing the opportunity and the freedom to create memories for your family. So having those motivators is key there. What get you up every day in the morning to keep striving that dream. I like to put mine on a mood board, so I kind of see them all the time around the house. So motivators are really, really important. And I kind of have 2 at a time to kind of keep me focused. Now, one goal. This is really important. And you're going to think, what are you talking about here, Michael? But one goal. We should all have exactly the same goal in life. Sounds silly, right? But no, we should all have exactly the same goal. And do you know what that goal is? It's happiness. We should wake up every single day to try and generate happiness for us and the ones we care about and the loved ones around us. Yes, that's right. Our one goal should be the same. It's happiness. If you're listening to this now around launch time, you're going to know what we're going through right now. We're going through something that our generation has never seen before. We're going through the COVID-19 pandemic, and hope and happiness is getting everyone through. There are some real dark days with this. People are struggling. Those on the front line are doing an amazing job, and people that aren't affected it personally are still getting affected from a work situation. There's mental health issues that people are dealing with. But that hope and that happiness that will bring us all together one day again is keeping us going and it's getting us through. And if you're listening to this podcast in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years' time, I hope you're still friendly with everyone, and I hope that happiness is still bringing us together. So that's our goal. That is my 3-2-1 philosophy and the first part of the whole desire, dream, vision ethos. So the next part of desire, dream, vision is broken up into several elements, and I'm going to take you through a couple of them now, but each episode is going to have a theme around one of those elements with loads of amazing guests as we go forward. So there's going to be lots of detail on each one of these topics, and the 3-2-1 philosophy as well. There's going to be an amazing section on inspiration and motivators, and also that goal as well as we go through episode by episode. But let me take you through a couple of the other elements that we're going to look at, and one of them is plan. If you want to achieve a goal, you've got to have a plan to get there. You wouldn't get in a car right now and say, I'm going to drive all the way from Southampton to Scotland. No, you'd get a map out, you'd put it into your sat-nav, but you would have a plan of how you're going to get there. You can't just climb Mount Everest on day one. You kind of get to base camp and you have to stop several ways. If you were to try to just walk straight from the bottom to the top, it ain't gonna happen. You aren't gonna make it. You're most probably gonna die if you try and climb Mount Everest like that. So for me, you've got to have a plan for your goal and for your ambition too. It's massive, it's so important, and you need to know exactly where you're gonna go. Now, of course, the plan will change and it will meander like a river, but the fundamentals have to be there so you know what you've got to do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a yearly basis to achieve those goals and ambitions. Another big factor for it is social pressure. It's something that we all face on social media now. Whether it's someone saying they like what we're doing or they don't like what we're doing, there's a big pressure on that. And I'm a big believer that you should do whatever makes you happy, that first goal. So if someone says they don't like something on social media, who cares? If there's a bit of constructiveness to it, take it on board maybe. But there are going to be people that love this podcast. There's going to be people that absolutely hate it and say, who the hell is this guy presenting this podcast? But for me, there's over 7.6 billion people in the world. 7.6 billion people, guess what? they're not going to hate you. There are going to be some people that absolutely love what you do, and they're going to support you 100% of the way every single time and every little single project you do. So that's really important for me, social pressure. And we're going to do a massive episode on that, about mental health and how you deal with it. And it's tough, right? It's not easy. When someone says they don't like something that you have worked so hard to achieve, of course it's tough. But guess what? Everyone's got an opinion. And just like I said about those motivators, we have to respect that opinion. But hey, we don't always have to listen to it. So keep focused, keep positive, and we'll talk more about social pressure in the coming weeks. Scale of opportunity one is another one. Scales and sacrifice, fear and failure as well. And there'll be a massive episode on fear and failure, because you can't achieve a goal without falling over. When you learn to walk, you fall over. So we're going to look at that massively. That's something I really love to talk about, and I can't wait for that. But there's something I really want to talk about now in this first little episode, and that's time. And this is a massive part of the Desire, Dream, Vision philosophy for me. And I think there's three amazing things that you can do with time. You can gift it, you can measure it, and you can create it. So let's first of all talk about gifting your time. I think gifting is one of the most important things that you can do, whether you're giving it yourself or you're receiving it. That time that someone gives you is time that they will never get back again. You can't rewind the clock. People are going to try, I'm sure, at some point in the future with time machines, but you can't rewind that time. Someone is giving that to you. And yes, there might be times that people are imparting advice that you think, do you know what, that's not really useful to me. But there's a real cool ancient proverb, and I first came across this in GQ magazine. There was an interview with one of my favourite broadcasters of all time, Sir David Frost, and he said, guess what, even a stop clock is right twice a day. So when someone is giving you their time, accept it and take it on board, and hopefully at some point that will become of use to you at some point in your life. But giving time the other way, I think, is also incredibly special. It's one of the most important things you can do, whether it's volunteering or sharing advice with someone who is maybe trying to do a similar thing to you, or a friend, or someone in time of need. If you can give your time, I think that's a real special thing that you can do. The second part with time is measuring it, because of course, yes, you need to hold yourself accountable to goals, and measuring time is so important, whether it's something you're going to do tomorrow, something you're going to do this week, next month, next year, this year. If you write it down and hold yourself account, making sure that that time is measured out is really, really important. The third one is creating time. Be honest with me right now. Who has said that they haven't got enough time to do something? We've all done it. Come on, be honest. We've all said, haven't got enough time to do this. Make time. Make time. I've been saying about this podcast for so long, and I was listening to some stuff with Rob Moore, so thanks again, Rob, for giving me the kick up the backside to get this done. But you can create time. Now, if you're a fan of the musical called Rent, you will know that 525,600 minutes, no, I'm not going to sing it, is how many minutes there are in a year. 525,600 minutes. That's quite a lot of time. So you can't tell me that you can't make time for something that's really, really important. So let me break this down to you a little bit more. And this will really make you work out how much you really want to achieve that goal or ambition, no matter what it is, whatever those motivators are that you need to achieve to strive for that happiness. If you were to give half an hour a day to your goal, just 30 minutes a day over a 4-week period, you would generate an amazing 840 minutes. What could you do with 840 minutes, right? That's plenty of football, that's plenty of sport, that's plenty of time with your family, that's plenty of time to make this dream happen. So no excuses, because guess what? Guess what happens if you give me an hour a day to achieve your dream? Over the course of a month, you're going to generate 1,680 minutes. I'm pretty sure you can take a massive step forward to achieving your dream in that. If Usain Bolt can run 100 meters in 9.58 seconds, there's plenty you can do. Your life can change in a split second, for the good and for the bad. So make the most of every single second. Create time. Don't make excuses. So if you're thinking about a dream right now, you've been thinking about one for ages, at the end of this podcast, go write it down, go make it happen, create that time. I always try and think about it, about fitness in my perspective. I've been trying to get fit for years to a kind of level where I don't want to be like super muscle man fit, but I kind of want to be athletically fit for my health more than anything. And I'd always make excuses. But lockdown that we've had at this particular moment in time with COVID-19 has made me really appreciate that exercise that we've been able to get. And I've been making time every single day to go out for a run, half an hour to go out for a run. And guess what? I'm starting to notice the difference. So no excuses. If you really want this goal and ambition bad enough, and I'm guessing that's why you've listened to this podcast, because you want to make it happen, you want to do it, no more excuses, go and create some time. Well, there we go then. That's time and a few other elements that are all part of Desire, Dream, Vision. And we're going to be stringing these all together over different episodes. So there's going to be so much you're going to be able to take away from this podcast. We're going to have some amazing guests coming up over the next few weeks, which I cannot wait to share with you. They're going to be awesome. It's going to be wicked. We're going to have a hot seat where we're going to be quizzing those guests and finding out a little bit more about what makes them tick, but also really get into the nitty gritty of that particular theme of the episode. We're going to get you involved as well. I want to have your involvement in this show. I want you to share your stories. What goals and ambitions are you striving towards? And we're going to get loads of you as guests on the show. We're going to do some giveaways as well, which will be massive. So that's something that I'm really looking to sharing with you on the podcast. Of course, some of you have already got a copy of Desire, Dream, Vision, which is kind of my philosophy that I put together. It came out a couple of years ago. But if you want to get your hands on that to get ahead of the game slightly with what we're going to talk about on this podcast going forward, just head over to Amazon. There's a link below and you can pick up your copy of Desire, Dream, Vision. So what topics have we got coming up over the next few weeks on the podcast? Well, we're going to be talking about inspiration. We're going to be talking about making a plan. We're going to really look at failure. As I said, you can't achieve a goal without falling over. So failure is going to be a massive part of how we get underway and get started, because how you deal with that failure is so important to how you build that success. And we're also going to talk about consistency and application and making sure you make it happen. How do you implement that accountability to make sure that dream happens and that dream comes true? Hopefully this podcast is going to be there for you to give you a little bit of insight week in, week out. I really, really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Prelude. This is just a little bit of insight of what is to come. Make sure you follow us on social media at Desire Dream Vision, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We'd love to see you on there. You can use the hashtag of DDV podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Michael Kern. And a massive thank you to Inverso Sport for being involved and making this podcast happen. See you next week. And remember, if you want it bad enough, you can achieve it. You can make it happen. But ask yourself, how bad do you want it? I'll see you next time.